Good evening, everyone. This is Isaac Schaff, USA Stormwatch. Today is August 16th, 2020, and we will be doing our Tracking the Tropics segment for this evening. First of all, I'm going to put on my screen here, and or that should be better. So, yeah, 1 second. So here's a look at what we have going on at the Atlantic right now. We have the remnants of Josephine here. Looks like the minimum central pressure has been upped a little bit. Present movement is at 12 miles per hour. We have these two systems that have developed. This is about 500 miles east of the Windward Islands here. We also have something developing here just off of Africa here. We're going to show you guys the I'm going to show you guys the satellite loop here. We can see there's what I'm watching real closely is you can see that we have a series of developing disturbances just off of Africa. We can see these. We can see this wave of convection just brewing off the Atlantic. We can see training disturbances. That really does concern me. And we can see this trough that is forming off of the northern latitudes there. And, if we do get some interference with this, we're going to see some increasing shear. And we also are seeing some other waves pushing through parts of the country as well. And yeah, just looking at how, just look at all this convection that is brewing off of the southern latitudes near the equator. That really is concerning me a little bit. And if we do get some, if this wave pushes off a little bit faster there, we may see some faster development with some of this. And I will turn our attention here to, there's what's left of Josephine up here. We can see the circulation there as it tracks further north. And it looks like this wave off here, it's not going to be shear. Doesn't look to be too stable with this, so I'm not anticipating any more development coming out of that as of right now. But I will go ahead and take a look at what we have with, and again, yeah, remnants of Josephine. Yeah, we're having it's dissipated. We can't see any defined circulation or any shear within this anymore. So right now we're just, and obviously there's not going to be any more impacts with Josephine. So we're done away with that. But yeah, we're watching this activity pretty closely. Both of these systems have a this system just off of Africa here has a 50% chance of developing into a depression or storm within the next 5 days. Within the next 48 hours, both of these systems have at least a 20% chance of development, particularly this one off of the Windward Islands. And I'm going to pay attention to the upper air conditions a little bit with that. I mean, looks like a lot of the troughings a little bit more focused further west. Looks like down near Cuba, towards Haiti, Dominican Republic there. Looks like this system overall is going to be entering an environment. Obviously, the sea surface temperatures are see a lot of this is near 30 degrees Celsius. That translates to closer to 86 degrees Fahrenheit. So what I'm more concerned about with this system is obviously the development's going to be, we're definitely seeing conditions further aloft that may help this slowly develop, but obviously the system, or rather this one off of the Windward Islands, looks like it's going to develop a little bit too quickly. So we're going to have to eyeball that. Yeah, we're watching. We can see the jet stream further up here. Obviously, we have some troughing to look at as well. So what I'm more concerned about this is as we see this wave continue to push a little bit, or yeah, that trough kind of pushes down here. So I mean, I think that there is a little bit of shear with this, but obviously nothing that is leading to a organized tropical development yet. But I will keep that reference open. And looks like we have JD. Will
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm
yeah,
late.
so this is the no worries. So this is the Atlantic-wide satellite image. I was just showing everyone here. So this system overall, this system right here, just off the Windward Islands, about 500 miles east of there, and it's all part of this more organized. Looks like we have some troughing in the between these two systems, and I mean, just watching what we have off of the MDR, the main development region here between the Windward Islands and areas around Africa near the equator, or just north of the equator, at 10 degrees north. See, we have this. Yeah. So I mean, we're seeing some training disturbances, and just looking at all these tropical waves that are developing off of Africa, and they are in very close proximity to each other. So I mean, if all of these systems follow a similar track pattern, I would anticipate if something does develop, and just seeing what this wave is doing out here, I mean, likely what's going to happen is obviously what's left of Josephine will trail just off the east coast. What might happen with some of these disturbances is that some of these may follow a similar track pattern, and just depending on if we get something that dips further down, or a trough that dips a little bit further down, and there's evidence along just the jet stream, just an idea of what we have further up into North America, of course. If something dips a little bit further down, or we'll have to watch the conditions over the Southwest pretty closely, but just depends on how quickly things evolve out of here. I mean, in terms of the upper level conditions, I mean, that will likely affect the track of these disturbances if any of this will make landfall over the East Coast, hypothetically, over coming days. Or the coming weeks or so. I mean, obviously these systems off of here, we're not looking at an immediate tropical threat to the United States here within the next week or anything like that anytime soon. But I mean, we're likely going to see critical new developments out of this area, 10 degrees north latitude here, between 60 west longitude and 10 west longitude. So we're going to have to pay really close attention to these systems that are developing out of that area, and just watching the jet stream. And obviously we have some stronger jets developing out of the plains there. And yeah, we're seeing some showers and storms across the plains. I'm going to pay attention to some of those. Some of these storms could be producing some hail near the Red River Valley.
New severe thunderstorm watch to 12 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, we're going to pull that up, see if we have anything. Yeah, see, this is the area we're talking about in the plains. Obviously, there's been that hail threat, and obviously there's some downdrafts associated with them as well. And we can just see that on satellite right here. See that white spot just dies off. I mean, if you're seeing that, there's evidence that there's a upper level downdraft that could be in place. So I mean, that will probably be signs of something at the near the surface. It could mix in at the ground, and if that does happen, oh whoops, I hit the wrong button. But yeah, if you see that stuff, oh, I'm sharing my whole screen. I did not mean.
Yeah, there's a bunch of severe thunderstorm warnings out here tonight.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, just watching this area, we can see where those downdrafts are, and yeah, we're seeing some pretty big upscale growth here across the plains, and I'm going to pay attention to this system off of the Kansas-Nebraska border. We're seeing plenty of upper shear, like right up in here. So
Any tornadoes tonight?
We're going to have to analyze the surface. There's a little bit of lift. We can see this little boundary draped from Kansas to Illinois. I mean, obviously, for us locally, it's going to be further west, where our most of this concern would be. But I mean, there is some surface forcing for ascent. It would not surprise me, especially areas in the eastern sector of all this development out in this area. But it is possible that if we do see some surface-based updraft, just with all the modest shear values that are probably in place there, it wouldn't surprise me to find an isolated tornado threat over parts of the plains today. In areas around the Red River Valley.
40 miles of gust reported out here, too, I'm looking at.
Yeah, we'll have to let's see what other reports are coming out of that.
1.25 inches of hail. That was a quarter-size hail, half dollar size on Facebook. Then we got about 1 inch hail. Then we got 1.5 inches of rain. So flash flooding is going to become a concern, right, Isaac? You think so?
Well, I mean, some of these storms are training over areas that have previously received heavy rainfall, so there may be a risk for embedded flash flooding as well. Obviously, there's
that under a severe thunderstorm warning now in Gracie County in Kansas, 8:15 at 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. East
Mountain.
No, it shows 8 o'clock. Severe thunderstorm was located along a line extending from 11 miles south of Rushton to 9 miles west of Wyoming, 5 miles south of Weekly, Moon East on 25 miles an hour. So that's just pretty slow. Hazard is 70 miles per wind gust. So we could easily get these storms producing circulation. These storms have a history of producing wind gusts up to 70 estimates from the site. So in Francis report, St. Francis out here in Kansas, they reported about 67 miles of gust at 5:35 Pacific time. And national.
This is Mountain Time.
Mountain Time. Sorry, I could. So if you still in these storms tonight, Isaac, these storms are having a history. Even you don't see a tornado, and even we don't have a tornado warning, I still want these people to take us really seriously as a tornado, because we already know on Monday what actually happened is we've seen pretty strong updraft winds that produce winds down to the surface. Even 70 can be bad as a tornado, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, when we're talking about, like, you can see how these storms are behaving, there's plenty of, I think we've had an outflow boundary produced by some of these storms that are showing up on radar here. So that's outflow from these storms. Obviously, that will enhance the winds that may be reaching the surface. And obviously, it could be a boundary for more convection that appears on these storms as well. So, I mean, when you see that kind of stuff, obviously, there's an idea that there could be stronger winds mixing in at the surface here along this line or along this boundary. When we're talking about gusts to 70, obviously there could be some minor damage to outbuildings, mobile homes, or weaker construction.
60 miles per wind gust has been reported.
Yeah, so
62 now it said miles per wind in the text. It did.
Oh, okay. Appreciate the report. So yeah, overall, this system out of the plains, as we've seen here, just looking at satellite when we were doing our tropics coverage here, we can see how this line up here is behaving. I mean, storms are a small line really or yes. Well, I mean, this is a complex of storms, or two separate complexes out of the plains. And we can see how there's a break in the shear between these two. So, I mean, these are two separate clusters. But, I mean, both of these Obviously, there's trailing cold fronts, a dry boundary that's in place out in this area. So, I mean, um, there's obviously, uh, especially across between areas between the Red River Valley and
Pretty
I
large
want,
tail. Looking at the Wicklow, there's pretty large tail at this.
yeah, just paying attention to satellite. Obviously, there's plenty of high-topped storms. I mean, we're seeing just you can see the whites, maybe some embedded purple within there that is showing up. Obviously, that is indicating some very serious hail. And that's in place further aloft. And obviously, the larger hail grows, the faster it reaches the ground, and the more impacts that might occur. So we want to be extra careful with that. And you can see the boundary that's in place with this line. And as that continues, we can see outflow from these storms. This is where there's mostly a damaging wind threat with this line.
Yeah. So I was to say to everybody, I mean, if anybody in these areas tonight has cars or vehicles parked out, this would be tonight to keep them in the garage just for a few hours until this line passes through, because we can see some pretty large hail, right, Isaac?
Well, I mean, we can see others. It's not like everywhere is going to see large hail within that, but I mean, there's a discrete area that could be producing some serious hail. Again, we can see that just off the panhandles as that tracks. I'd say that's pretty close to where it's north of Abilene, if I'm right. I mean, there's other storms that are producing more larger hail, but I mean, just from what the Storm Prediction Center is saying here, I'm going to look at these storm reports. We can see that all this stuff in green is hail reports. Obviously, I believe that's the ratio. That's the ratio between 78 hail reports. 10 of them are large hail reports. So I mean, so that means 10 of them are over size.
I sent something to your Facebook Messenger. I showed you something on my computer. What I see.
Here, I didn't get any new notifications from you yet, but I will open Messenger, see what I got. Oh, there you are. So yeah, there is a little bit of shear with this. Obviously, nothing that's immediately tornadic or something that is prompting the Weather Service to issue a tornado warning yet. But I mean, if that shear is,
I'm not going to roll it out though.
Like if it's intensifying based off of like previous scans and whatnot, and what is likely the environment that it's moving into, that may prompt the Weather Service to issue a warning on this one. But again, this is
new severe thunderstorm warning now has been issued. Okay. New severe thunderstorm warning for Greer County and central Kansas, northwestern Riley County and north central Kansas, northwestern Pocosin County and northwestern Kansas, south central Washington County and north central Kansas, Clay County and north central Kansas, eastern Cloud County and central Kansas and northwestern Marshall County into about 9:15.
Yeah, it's this line up here. You don't, hey, JD, you don't have to like read specifically the warning text when you're, because I mean, like the National Weather Service, like like everyone's already hearing that, like over the radio, the TV.
All right, we got another severe thunderstorm warning now. It has been issued.
So just describe basically the region. You do not have to read the warning text.
I'm sorry.
Just read where it is.
All right, just got another warning up here.
A little bit of information about how that pertains to this complex right here.
All right. South Central Clay County and Central Kansas, Nebraska, Nichols County and Central Kansas, Nebraska, South Central Highmore County and South Central Nebraska and North Central Bear County in central Nebraska. This runs through 9 p.m. This could have 60 miles of wind gusts with it, and half dollar size hail. So these are getting pretty decent updrafts, right?
Yeah, these storms looks like there's a little bit more lift associated with that, and just looking at outflow from these storms, obviously
Mm-hmm.
there's a wind threat. We can see the breaks along this line up here. We can see that there's, I think, a little bit more warmer air that's filtering into this area, a little bit more lift. I think there's, yeah, there's a couple of healthy updrafts or maybe some
Yep.
recurring updrafts. I mean, these storms are
Echo
not
tops.
particularly.
The echo tops are pretty bad today. They're really strong.
I mean, these are tall storms. I mean, we can see, I believe there's some areas along this one, we can see discrete storms, maybe some much stronger updrafts that are in place further aloft. Obviously, that's going to lead to hail and everything. But I think these are some weaker storms around here in Kansas, Nebraska border area. What I'm concerned with these is that it looks like a lot of this stuff, I mean, it's transitioning to more of a damaging wind, maybe a little bit of large hail with it. Oh, it looks like the thing just refreshed. But, you know, we were talking about all these hail reports in Texas earlier. I mean, following some supercells that were tracking through Oklahoma and Texas. But, I mean, this is transitioning to mostly a damaging wind threat, maybe some embedded large hail. But, I mean, this activity down here, obviously that this is associated with more cool air that's in place further aloft. And as the temperatures, the sustained temperatures fall, around here, I mean, that air is going to sink down with a lot of these storms. So that's going to follow mostly a damaging wind threat. I am not anticipating that many of these storms will be tornado warned, but I mean, there's a couple of areas where there may be some surface-based updrafts, but I mean, the directional shear at the low levels is a bit weak. So I mean,
that's a good thing.
Well, yeah.
All right. All right, got to pause again. We got a little pink marker showing up. Is that rotation?
Is it a pink marker?
Yes, a pink one.
Okay, so what that indicates on your software there, that means that there is a mesocyclone that is down near the base of the thunderstorm. I mean, it could be increasing shear within that area, but whether that is tornadic or not will ultimately depend on if there is obviously a break in the line, or if there's a stronger area of effective inflow, whether there's directional shear like within the between areas between the base of the storm and the ground. So there's many different scenarios when you see that pink marker. If there is a tornado signature that may pop up with that, it indicates that it's stuff that may be occurring near the base of the thunderstorm. It does
keep an eye on it.
So I mean, base velocity, what you see on there does not always reflect the exact base of the storm, because the lowest altitude the radar can detect, actually that is not, you know, it goes out, but I mean, like it like the beams that are released, so like the radiation that or not I shouldn't say radiation, or the returns, the pulses from the radar, I should say, that obviously it bounces off of clouds. I mean, when there's more dense water vapor, it bounces back. So it's kind of like how a radio works or stuff like that. But I mean, it may detect the ground near the radar site, but it bounces up further aloft. So I mean, you can't get an accurate depiction of the ground just by utilizing radar.
Okay, that's I didn't know that.
So I mean, the what the computer is saying is just one of several different interpretations of whether there's increasing shear within that area, or and a mesocyclone does indicate what may be a rotating updraft, but that may be in place further aloft, not necessarily where there's cooler air or something like a rear flank that may be developing on the back end. Obviously, if that's the case, and there is a more low-level based updraft with more directional shear, that's what tends to lead to tornadoes and everything. And obviously, with the rear flank of the storm, that's where the tornadic winds are, because the rapidly rising air within that parent supercell, with that rotating updraft, the mesocyclone. Obviously, that is there's obviously rotation on a vertical scale. At the same time, there's a horizontal scale. So I mean that is air that is really rapidly falling to the ground on the back end of there. So I mean that's where more of your tornadic winds are focused, and there's also inflow that occurs ahead of that. So I will also caution with that. But again, that's more from a meteorological standpoint. But here, did you pass anything else along yet?
Well, I looked at my radar scope here, and I'm gonna send you a little something. I'm starting to get, I'm gonna see if you know what this thing is, or you think this is a bunch of rotation, because my laptop doesn't have all the lightning strikes. I just wonder if that'd cost a lot if I got that with the lightning strikes.
Okay. Sorry, I've been keeping in touch with other messages. 1 second. Again, I think you were talking about lightning earlier. I mean, there's definitely.
No, I was asking you, how much would it cost me if I got lightning strikes on my laptop?
Oh, you're talking about on radar.
And it does have, and it does have a lot of light too.
The Pro Tier 1 subscription, I believe that's like, I don't know, $9.99, I forget, or I mean that's for like an annual. I'm not, my mind sometimes, I have so much information in there, so I tend to forget that.
This does have a lot of lighting with it now. The storm bezel here I sent you.
Yeah.
What about tomorrow? Are we seeing any severe weather tomorrow, you think?
So as this line continues to push into or this area of storms, just given what this is showing here, I mean, obviously there could be this line of storms. I'm pretty sure there may be what looks like a low risk of strong storms that may be in place closer to the Gulf. But I mean, looks as if, there's also, see scattered storms that'll be in place with that system across the Gulf, mainly I-20 south. We got that two areas of to watch. I want to go a little bit closer to the, look at satellite there. Yeah, so East Pacific Atlantic combo, just to see what we got going on.
We've been having one of these down in the Gulf too tonight, Mississippi, where Andre lives at. I mean, down there in Mississippi. I mean, don't we?
Yeah. So, just looking at this satellite picture, looks like I'm going to focus a little bit further north here. Oops. So this is the whole United States and the East Pacific Atlantic combination there. We have this wave that'll be pushing ashore here over the coming days. And then we have this additional activity that's over the Gulf of California that's going to try and make its way north. And obviously with this activity, it'll push ashore. Obviously that will lead to the onset of isolated storms into sections of the desert Southwest.
Mm-hmm. Any hurricanes?
We're not seeing anything that will inevitably develop into a hurricane over the next 5 days, but there may be some critical new developments over the coming days. We'll have to keep a close eye over that stuff in the Atlantic.
See, looking at my phone. There's two different waves. One in Wichita, one down in Texas, and one down in Louisiana. So these are three different complexes, right?
Well, yeah, it's this is the same. Or obviously, this is congealed. These two areas. We've been seeing some plenty of shear associated with this one, especially. But again, looks like we have what looks like an upper level low that is formed out of this area. This line overall is we have this overall line of storms pushing into Louisiana as well. Obviously, the ones in Louisiana are a little bit weaker, but I mean, we have this
All right,
trough.
down here where the in Louisiana or somewhere down here in Louisiana is showing one report of down trees down here in the Dixie something down here in Mississippi. They're down trees and Tucker Road.
Yeah, there's been numerous wind reports out of this system.
How strong?
Obviously, these are embedded downdrafts where you see the air that's further aloft that sinks faster to the ground. The elevated mixed layer, obviously, that's kind of where there's shear and the winds from further aloft kind of mix in at the ground, so that leads to the stronger winds that may be being reported out of that. No, excuse me. I think I might have developed a sinus infection a little bit, but I mean,
Oh no.
no, it's not serious. Or it's just,
That is going around. So here's the other thing. All this hot weather and we get these cold fronts and that just adds on to the sinus infections
yeah,
people have.
yeah, right. I mean, when the pressure changes, obviously the body has to adjust to that,
Mm-hmm.
because
So when I used to be
there's plenty of environment. But I mean, it's not serious. I mean, I'm not having congestion or anything. It's just I have a lot of.
Especially when school always started, I used to. Oh, when the weather always changed, I used to get that sinus infection or
Okay.
or code virus and all that. So.
Well, I guess that we've covered what we needed to cover this evening. So.
What about tomorrow? Are we coming back live tomorrow?
It is conceivable we'll consider another 3 p.m. timing, just depending on the new developments. We'll try and get some more Tropics advisors to be with us tomorrow. But I guess
Who's
we
going to
will
be with us? Is Andre coming with us sometime?
Here we'll discuss that privately later. But yeah, we will be ending the broadcast, and we will see you soon.